I'm not one to post a lot of videos, but I ordered a new handspring from Numrich Gun Parts Corporation for my original 1851 Navy, and it is actually tooled out somewhat differently in a profile. Here's the part. So this is the replacement. It's supposed to be an OEM, or original, I should say. So when you look at it, I'll pull out the original, but the original has a thinner area right here. This is not as broad, and it has more of a straight line. This point is to rotate your cylinder. So it actually functions by advancing here, and then there's also a lock on the bottom right there that pegs it so that it aligns right with the barrel. So again, this is an original 1851, so Navy. So when you order the parts, they may have been more custom made than we realize. So I'll show you the issue. So as I take out a hammer and slide this part out, this is how it, again, when you cock it, this would then rotate up and advance your cylinder by using these cogs right here. I actually bought some modern, these are steel, the original gun is iron, and actually this one's actually loaded to go, but so that I wouldn't put the stress on the original one. So when I put the part in that I got from that tooling company, now I'll take this off. So there's just a pin that pivots off the hammer. Isn't that beautiful? See the sea monster that the original engravers put in it? And here's how minor it is. If you look at the profile, you go, oh, that's really close. But when you look at the original one, which is this one, I think it's actually the radius, that bow. See that bow in there? That is our issue. Because when I go to cock it, this gets jammed up in there. And it's not just a combination of the thickness right here, like I mentioned before. This is thinner, but this is much straighter, and this has this hook. And there's just not enough room in the assembly that can slide, because again, as you cock it, that pivots up and just advances. It advances the cylinder. So you're cocking it, and it's doing that, and then it locks, like I said, on the bottom. So I just wanted to point out that these are tricky. Now this pin actually was just pressed in, and the pin kept coming out. So I thought, well, I'm just going to buy a new part. And there's two different approaches actually. I have a reproduction. Here, I'll show you too. I have a reproduction. If I can get the camera lined up, because I'm upside down here. So you can see the reproduction. This is an Army. Happens to be a 44. That's what they are. And then this other one here is my ivory handled original 1851 with, as you can see, Colonel Samuel Colt, New York, U.S., America. And this is in pretty pristine shape. It'd be really cool if you could see the rifling. I got some grease in there from lubrication, but so this is a fascinating thing about this era. It was the first rifling they did, and you can kind of see it. It starts out straight and it ends up tightening at the end. And that's a characteristic of the original. Where modern rifling it's pretty consistent all the way through to spin that. So this is the first effort to spinning. The bullet, I did shoot conicals out of it. They're harder to fit when you can press them down in, but they work. Very difficult, actually, for the amount of space here, right here, to get a conical in. So that's all I got for you. As far as assembly goes, it's there's a lot of videos out there on it. If I can position this to hold, it's pretty straightforward. I didn't separate my screws because I've done it enough. And you will end up with parts that break like this. So I'll just do a quick assembly. So again, as you can see, this part is the hammer. The spring is just a friction. So as we put this in, you put this in, this goes in the receiving hole. This slides. You can compress this a little bit, and that just keeps it forward in position to advance the cylinder. And I slide this up, line up the hole, separate your screws, but it's the largest one that holds this. It's smart to just finger tight things. So now you can see it work right there. See how it protrudes out? And as it protrudes out, right there, it's actually advancing the cylinder off those pins. So that's the mechanism. And they do break, obviously. All these are springs, and springs just don't last. But I guess if we just do a quick rest of the assembly, we could. These are actually pretty easy because these two screws are the same. This one's larger. On things like the back strap, I left some screws in, but these three, actually there is these three are the same, and there's one discrepancy in size, and I'll show you that in a minute. I really didn't plan on doing this video, but when I ran into this part situation, I said, well, let me throw it together so someone else might have that problem. So now, this trigger spring has a specific screw that I set aside because I, again, didn't plan on doing an assembly video, but just hey, what's up with this bad part video. And this one actually, it's just a straight machine screw, but I'll snug this one up a little bit with a little bigger screwdriver. I was told when I went to a gun shop not to shoot this gun, and because it's an original, and that I did not accept that because I don't want to really own something that I can't shoot. And he didn't want to even look at it more than just looking it over to see that the barrel and everything is, as you can see, is in very good shape. So the integrity of the iron is good. So I did. So obviously, I told him, take a look at me. I'm old. I'm not. I'm 65. I'm not on this earth a whole lot longer, and I am not going to own something that that I will not shoot. So these, and by the way, I had a great time. Went with my brother-in-law and set up a long twine. Shot it a few times to see that it was fine, and then we just shot a lot of rounds until that pin came out on that spring. So, and I got taken apart a lot of times. So I'll put these in. There's a couple approaches here. I can leave this spring tight, the hammer spring, and squeeze this and hold it in place and get these 3 screws in. But I'm trying something different here, where I'm actually going to put the spring in and then put tension on it after the fact. I'm thinking this might be the easier approach. And a beautiful piece of metal, though. So if you look, it's interesting, and obviously this serial numbers need to match, but there's also I was told Navy Colt brought over a couple of carvers from Germany, and they just did all these engravings with a small triangular, sharp, hardened steel. They'd poof a pattern on there with some sort of a charcoal or something, and then they'd use their creativity for all the details, which you can see how detailed all that is. It's pretty amazing. Even here, I didn't even see that. Maybe it's this good here. And that says a 36 caliber. I don't know if you can see that. It's so tiny. But right there, it says 36 caliber. And if I knew more about the history, here's an E. No, it's an M. So I did send off for a certification letter, and because of it being engraved and ivory, I had to pay more, and that's just been. It'll be interesting to see what comes back. Well, I think I'm going to stop the video here because I don't think you need to really see a whole lot more on that note. Then I go and tease you with keeping it and assembling it. So, and this is the method that's obviously the correct one too. It's just so much easier to loosen this hammer spring and then tighten it again, obviously. And I'm sure all you experts know that. But now our assembly works. So before, with the part that was manufactured slightly differently by being more hooked instead of straight and slightly thinner right through here, I would go to cock it and it would get stuck because, again, as I go here to see that little advanced dog, when that dog came up, it would jam right there because it needs to be a really close tolerance, and I saw that it was somewhat ground on the side too because it just slides between that guide. So now everything works fine, and we put the beautiful ivory back on. CPU. I just can't get over all the carving that they do. This is one's pretty easy. They're 2 shorter screws that go here. I'll just start them all. Probably should have backed it off. Let me try that and see if there's a better perspective. Much better. I don't do any YouTube videos hardly, so I just my production quality is really quite substandard, but hopefully the information is good for you. Because if you do collect, or even if you want to just take apart your reproduction, they're really the same. They have just the slightest profile differences, but as far as your mechanical mind is going to have to do the same thing. And now we're back together. There is some shrinkage over 165 years with ivory, and that's evidenced in this little pulling away right there. And actually, there's a slight. It's an organic material that changes over 165 years, and that's part of the allure of it. We all know it's illegal to harvest, but to be able to preserve it like this is what I consider pretty good, an honor. And there she is. She's back together. So I will put the original cylinder on to show you. You have cock it so that this dog that is down here, that actually locks into these channels, clears it, then it allows it on. I'm going to shoot it a lot more, well, not a lot, but plenty in its lifetime, just so that the living history of it is really fascinating. And I'll tell you why. When you, if you have something soft, like a soft end of a screwdriver, I guess I didn't seat that properly either. You can get this in, just don't use metal. But when you have these primers here that you put on and shoot, they splay, and it's just such a small and thin foil that it can get jammed. So as you have these little compression caps on each one of these nipples, and it fires, goes through the capillary and projects your projectile, you end up, as you advance it, they're moving with you here, and they get jammed. So the really interesting thing about the Wild Wild West gunfights would be, if you're just going shooting away, you can't do that. There's oftentimes, sometimes 2 times in 6 shots, will they get jammed. They kind of get splayed and jammed up and down in there. So then you go to advance, and you can't even advance. You're stuck. So in a gunfight, I would think in the 1860s and 70s, you had a lot of hope riding on it that your gun would not jam. And that's the fascinating part to me, that we all thought, well, they pulled out a 6-shooter and they had 6 shots. Well, they didn't. They were lucky to get 6 off. And there's real history. Thank you for watching my first and only gun video.